Are there examples of artists that don't have that organizational aspect, that are able to team up with the right manager or the right label or that sort of thing? Or does it really require an artist to have most of those skills? Because this is something that I think all of us have been through, where we find an amazing talent, we make records that we think are incredible, and then it gets run into the ground by a manager. And I don't know if that's what to attribute that to, whether it's this person doesn't know how to pick good people, or the label screws it up. I mean, are those things all within, are the successful artists, they just figure it out?
Not always, no. I think, obviously, well, people ask me about management a lot, because obviously it was quite unusual back in that time when I was managing and producing James Taylor and Linda Ronstadt and people like that, Joni Mitchell and Carole King. It was unusual to do both. And, people sometimes ask me, well, what makes a great manager? Well, the primary answer to that is the most annoying one, which is a great client. I got to induct the first two managers ever inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because they wanted somebody who'd been a manager and who knew them both. But not surprisingly, that was Brian Epstein and Andrew Loog Oldham. So the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, it's like, duh, But could a bad manager have screwed that up? I suppose so. I mean, certainly when I started managing James Taylor, he was ambitious, but he was not organized at all. I mean, because it's not telling stories out of school to say that at that point he was a sort of muddled junkie, and a songwriting genius at the same time. But a man of exceptional intelligence and determination all at the same time. But I think, could things have got screwed up if I'd really been a horrible manager? I suppose so. But deep down, my thinking was, all I've got to get people to do is listen to this guy. He's, one of the best songwriters I've ever heard in my life, and guitar players and singers, and it all worked. But was he himself at that point an organized person? No, not in the slightest. And so management that makes a difference. But I suppose more often maybe bad managers, which do happen, have made terrible mistakes. But I mean, Elvis even survived Colonel Parker pretty much. I mean, without the Colonel, we might not have had all those dreadful films. We might not have had, I don't know. Maybe that's a bad example. Maybe we should all blame Colonel Parker. But
yeah, more or less is definitely the phrase.
I'm such an Elvis fan, but yeah, I'm an Elvis, Sun Records fan, not so much an Elvis in the Movies fan.
Yeah, indeed. Do you get the sense that someone, well, obviously you know James Taylor very well, you managed and produced him for years. Did he have that ethic and commitment as a songwriter, if not organization? Did he have a high output? Like he was?
No.
I assume, not at all, really.
No, he would write songs as they occurred to him. He wasn't one of those people who, I will write songs every day, or I will write for other people, or any of that. No, he wrote songs, like writing poetry, to express himself and to deal with some intense emotional issues himself.
I had one.
So I think he wrote songs, cathartically and certainly not commercially.